want to talk matters employment vis-a-vis cost of living, and right now I'm joined by Arnold Ochieng, who is the General Manager, Workforce Africa. Welcome to Business Today, Arnold. Quite an interesting December. I mean, this is the first Monday for December, and a lot of people, they are trying to plan themselves where they'll be, and that comes at a cost, the cost implication. Now, just looking at the year, first of all, as somebody who is observant, how has the economy been working for you from a workforce perspective?
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here today. Basically, as we all know, the year has been quite rough, not only on businesses, but also on individuals. As we also know that the rising high cost of living, it means there's a high cost of running a business and a high operational cost. So definitely, you have to try and manage both in a way that still you're able to run as an operation, but also still able to support your people who run the business.
All right.
Yeah.
This year, because we've seen lots of redundancies,
Sure.
Companies cutting down. From workforce perspective, has there been those structural changes?
From workforce perspective, as an organization, we haven't had that with issues that affect our redundancies. However, we've seen instances where multinationals, other organizations are restructuring in a way for them to be able to continue to do business, but while also still trying to provide for their staff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quite a balance right there.
Yeah, sure.
Now, Arnold,
Yes.
this issue about wages, because we rarely discuss about wages other than Labor Day. And that's when we wait like, hey, let's wait, they'll announce minimum wage. And minimum wage is not even part of our day-to-day conversation, apparently. Should it be something that we should pay attention to, and why?
Definitely, minimum wage affects how the spending power of every given individual. Safe to say, this year there was no increment in the minimum wage. It's still the same that was there in 2022. So definitely, everyone was anticipating this year at least there will have been a revised on the minimum wage. However, you can see it affects in the point of how each and every individual is able to afford the basic needs, afford basic healthcare. So definitely, if minimum wage is reviewed in a way that supports the current economic needs, then it really goes a long way in supporting a given individual.
And this is a discussion that we are having, because I'm trying to figure out. I could say a friend. I think a friend actually went and he got an opportunity outside this country.
Sure.
And he was giving us feedback. The way rent is 250,000 for a one-bedroom house, and everyone was like, no, that can't be. And now the discussion was, okay, if you're paying rent 250,000 equivalent of Kenya shillings, then it means the minimum wage in that particular country is slightly higher, which can be able to cater for that. Mm-hmm. But now question is, in the Kenyan context, I know Kotu has been at the center stage of everything. Who pays attention how much a house help is paid in the house? How are you able to follow up to see that this issue of minimum wage is adhered to, especially from a policy perspective, as somebody who works, in the corporate world?
Definitely, tracking on how much everyone is earning it's quite a difficult task. However, I think it's very prudent for us to take initiative in a way that we're able still to follow what the guidelines are. And you'll see that most employers or most people kind of look at sectors that have been unionized in a way that they're able at least to have that control in terms of the minimum wage, because at the end of the day, you're not able to track and keep track of how much everyone is being paid, but you need to ensure that at least everyone is falls within that kind of bracket for the minimum wage.
Definitely. Yeah. And I mean, our economy is 80%. I know they call it informal, but I don't think that should be the term. Just falls under, micro, small, and medium-sized enterprise. That's what controls our economy, and it is not regulated per se. Is there room for for intervention, and what will that do for this large sector of the economy?
Definitely there's room for intervention, and basically around the minimum or around the cost of living, the buck actually stops with our legislations that we currently have. If legislators or the legislation are able to work with stakeholders to come up with ways that they're able to implement such kind of initiatives, then they will have conversations around industry-specific kind of targets, where, for example, you've mentioned the SME sector. Definitely, if they're able to consult with relevant stakeholders in those sectors, they're able to come and identify areas that they're able to work on and attaining this kind of minimum wage policy that we are trying to bring in.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's very interesting, because now you saw the employers were talking just the other day, Federation of Kenyan Employers, and they're talking about all this loss of jobs. When you look at the unemployment rate in the country, I mean, we are relatively very young country and young continent. I think median age is 19 years, thereabout, and there seems to be an issue even with wages amongst employers, since the economy is depleted. I mean, how do you find that fine balance between, I'm trying to keep the business afloat, but also I make sure that the people who are running this business are not sent home, one, or are not, getting the basics as much as wages is concerned?
Creating a fine balance between the two, as we know, right now the cost of running a business is at least, I think it has actually even probably doubled, if I'm not wrong, based on the necessities that are required to run a business. So as an organization, you need to be very innovative of ways that you're able to cushion you as an organization, and also cushion your resources, which is the workforce, in a way that each party wins. So there are various frameworks that you can come up with. You can have the remote kind of work formula, where everyone is able to work remotely. You can structure around the benefits and the remuneration bit to see a way that you're still retaining your people, but you've restructured your wage structure in a way that it's able to be still in line with whatever the people have. And then also you can also come up with incentives around now trying to focus on spreading around the roles that are within the organization. If somebody was able to double up in different roles, then it means that they're able now to also work in hand to ensure that there's still roles that are being executed, rather than now doing away with a whole department or doing away with a whole kind of position. So there are various ways that an organization can be very innovative in a way that they can cushion both the business and also cushion the organization itself and the people.
That's interesting. I'm glad you've mentioned the issue of flexible working environment. And, these days people are having, initially hybrid was top-notch, post-COVID, and people are being some days in the office, some days at home. And we've been seeing there is sort of a call, especially from market leaders such as you guys, workforce, and, managers, CEOs are asking people to come back to the office. And there's that element of, I think, productivity that's been an issue for some of the organization. I mean, this future of work that we were envisioning, where we'll be very flexible and working from wherever we work from, how is it materializing, and what are the bumps that we are seeing on that journey?
Yeah, the future of work is still the kind of remote work. It's something that we can never run away from. And for most organizations, it's been able to work. It's still a work in progress for most organizations, even in our country or in our continent in general. So definitely, the key for every organization is productivity. Once businesses or the organizational leadership are able to determine how do I measure productivity in a given organization or in a given team, then they're able to come up with policies around that support the kind of remote work that you're trying to push for. And then you're also able to understand that I don't necessarily need person A, B, and C to be in the office every day for them to be productive. As long as we have a structured framework in measuring productivity, then it's very much easier for me as an organization to be able to track performance, to track productivity, and also at the end of the day, so and so is able to work remotely and able to deliver on their targets.
No, that's incredible. I think with the remote work conversation, Africa, in a way, in some quarters, especially in the tech spaces, have been able to gain. And we are seeing globally, there is an element of outsourcing that we are seeing coming into the country. Now, on average, even when you use a different jurisdictions, minimum wage standards, you find that the equivalent on the Kenyan side, if you're being outsourced working remotely, you tend to make a decent amount. From your experience, how do we align, sort of fine-tune the policies where now it is jurisdiction interacting with another jurisdiction and workers, Kenyans, are here in the middle? Has that been an issue, or is it very seamless as it stands?
Currently, I wouldn't say it's an issue or is seamless. Like we mentioned, the concept of remote work is something that just came into the market. So definitely it's being implemented in phases. And you'll find, like you've mentioned, the tech space. The tech space is one of the markets that has broadened in the past 2 or 3 years, given the growth in the demand for the talent. So you'll find that organizations that are not necessarily based in Kenya are looking for talent within our jurisdiction. And with that, the only thing that is maybe a hindrance is now based on which kind of jurisdiction they're going to base their work on. But if it's an organization that is willing to probably conform to the regulations in the country, they have various supports that they can able to implement, especially around the employment record services, which is able to seamlessly allow them to have talent from Kenya while still operating from a different kind of jurisdiction. So at the moment, I'd say it's not really seamless, but it's still a work in progress.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course, some people will argue, is there room for abuse slightly? Like the way we see, or exploitation, quote unquote, because I mean, it's the forces of demand and supply. That's why everyone is going to China to manufacture the things, because I mean, the cost of production there, it's relatively low. And when it comes now to the workforce and this arrangement that we're seeing globally, it seems Africa is where you get sort of very affordable labor work, even in the tech space and different spaces, as we see. Do you think we'll come to a time where, for example, a developer, or are we already in that space where a Kenyan developer working here for a UK company will be paid best on the rates in the UK and not some side dealings?
Yeah, for sure. I'd say Africa is a hub of talent. Based on our experience in this market, we've been able to see the growth, especially in the tech space, like we mentioned, the developers and the likes. So they would ideally, you'll find that most, even our own organizations within our Kenyan market, you'll find them that they're trying as much as possible to match up what the other countries are doing in terms of offering developers. Because at the end of the day, if I'm an organization and I'm not able to retain my team because of benefits and remuneration, then I have to find a balance in ensuring, do I retain my best talent? Because at the end of the day, everyone will be shipping out from my organization, going for better pay outside. So organizations are actually trying to match up and to level with the market practices, which is a very good trend currently in the Kenyan market.
All right.
Yeah.
And as we finish up, Arnold, I know we've spoken at length, different spaces, bottom line. You've said some of the interventions are very critical. Yeah, I know you've mentioned in-house arrangements within organizations. At some point, you noted the issue of legislation. I mean, moving forward, because that is also, I feel, one of the biggest loopholes that we have in the country. Sometimes things just pass through Parliament without really a critical, thought being put into it. What is the call to action for our legislators, even as they plan to go for their holiday, so that when they come back in 2024, they can look at this issue of cost of living for Kenyan workers?
I'd say for on my end is just to ensure that the legislator, or the people who make the policy makers, we call them, they're able to come up with regular reviews of the minimum wage, which is commensurate to the current economic status, given that as I understand that we have one review per year, but given the circumstances around the change in the economic status, then it's prudent they're able to come up with policies that are able to review it as per the cost of living that is in the current space and the current market.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Arnold.
Thank you very much.
All right. What a conversation. Arnold Ochieng is the General Manager of Workforce Africa. You're talking about work, minimum wage, and the way some of these issues intermarry, remote working spaces vis-a-vis how they're paid and how we, streamline the whole sector. So we take a short break right here on Business Today. When we come back, we'll be talking matters to do with e-commerce and how that space is changing for the better. Stay tuned. Asante sana.